But I want to go now for the balance of this half hour to a gentleman we'll call Joseph. Now, he wanted to use his real name, but I said, no, let's not do that. And I actually know this gentleman through some people I work with in business. I know he's in the Army. I know he works in intelligence. I'll just leave it at that. And he was formerly a police officer before he joined the military. And he can tell you some stories about Katrina, about the Fort Hood shooting, about police he works with in Austin. We're not going to say how, but what they saw and what these firefighters he knows saw. And actually part of this came out in the mainstream news, dealing with the Joe Stack kamikaze attack on the IRS building in Austin a few months ago. But we first got contacted by him dealing with the sports stadium at Fort Hood. They're tearing it down, but around it and the park, putting up a barbed wire fence with barbed wire facing in. And I sent Rob Dew and Aaron Dykes out there this weekend, or actually Friday, to observe this, and it was true. So I thought I would just get him on to talk about a few of these issues, and also the exciting news he's given us that many other people I know in the military are also concurring with, that there is a huge awakening in the military, especially with non-commissioned officers and officers, and let's just say the more intelligent arm of the military. I'm not saying the grunts aren't patriots and waking up too, but the smart guys, you know, the brain bugs, to use a Starship Troopers analogy, they can see what's going on. And so joining us is Joseph. Joseph, thank you for coming on with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Alex. It's great to be up with you and your audience.
We're going to go to break in a minute, but I threw out a lot of issues. But, I mean, why are you wanting to come on the show? Why did you want to use your whole name? I mean, you've got to be really focused to do that.
Well, Alex, in today's world, I don't see a whole lot of accountability and bravery. And we, in the public service aspect of the government, we have to start standing up to what is right, or to what is wrong, and doing what is right. And I see more and more of that every day. You know, my time as a police officer, I saw corruption that it almost destroyed my soul, Alex. It shook me to my very core. And that's the reason I left and I went into the military, seeking larger accountability, thinking things would be better. And they have been for the most part. And the people I've met here in Austin, the police that I know, the firefighters that I know, they're all great people. I haven't met the same kind of people that I knew on the Gulf Coast. And, you know, obviously anything I'm going to say here about the military today is not going to be the direct opinion of the Department of Defense. I just wanted to say that right now. So, you know, as long as we're clear, the Department of Defense can't really hold anything against me.
And we're not going to get anything classified. In fact, almost everything. I think I need to take this as Jesse Ventura, but it's always like Charlie Sheen calling me when I'm around. I forgot to turn my ringer off. Stay there. Stay there. We're going to come right back to you on the other side of this break, Joseph. We're going to break down some of the things you've witnessed in the next two segments. We appreciate your courage coming on the air and your service to our great nation. We'll be back defending the Republic. But we're joined in this segment and the next, and then Gerald Salente, the top trends forecaster, is going to be on with us for a full hour and a half coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're talking to Joseph, who was a police officer and got disillusioned by what he saw in Katrina. Then he joined the military. And I know who he is. I mean, we work with and are friends with some folks that are very close friends with him. And we have a lot of other military sources, but this is a source that we can directly confirm. He gave us some information about fences being put in that face in on the base at Fort Hood. We went out there in the public area of the base, and there it is. So we're watching that. So much to talk about with him in the time we've got. Let's start with what you saw on the Gulf Coast during Katrina, and then what you've seen when you're in the military, dealing with the shooting at Fort Hood, dealing with the intel you got from the fire department and others about Joe Stack.
Okay, Alex, well, I'll start with the Austin story, since it's nearest and dearest to a lot of people there where you're located. I'm personal friends with a lot of people down in the Austin Fire Department. And when we were at an unofficial function, we were talking, my wife and his wife and gentleman, and he had mentioned that all the police or the fire chiefs were in a meeting at the time of the attack. And I don't know whether he said FEMA or not, but obviously you can speculate on your own. But anyway, they were informed by their wives through text messages that this Joe Stack had attacked. and they asked what was going on, and they said, don't worry about it. Let's keep this meeting together. We have more important things right now. Well, eventually one of the police or fire chiefs got brave enough to stand up and leave the room, and the rest followed after that.
And they were running a drill that day. We first got that within minutes of it happening, that fire trucks were already there at the scene as part of a drill on 183 in North Austin, but that the police chiefs and the fire chiefs were all in this emergency center drill and were being told, don't leave, don't deal with that. The feds will handle it. And eyewitnesses that we've had on the show at apartments and who were in the building across the street as part of the Echelon complex or across the parking lot said that within seconds, by the time they looked out the window, there was FBI out there taking video cameras, telling people to stand down, that it looked very, very suspicious. And then other witnesses said on record they saw the plane fly by, clearly nobody in the cockpit. Then there were bizarre cover-ups with the body. The whole thing was very suspicious.
Right, and that's what I got from them. And of course, they were just, they're not really into a lot of the stuff politically that's going on around them, but it even spooked their interest. So there's a lot to be said about that, Alex.
Now, you said separately that the police officers and firefighters that you work with, that a lot of them are really awake now.
Well, yeah, especially the troops that I'm with, Alex. I passed out, the pocket constitution that you get with every one of your videos or everything that you order from InfoWars, the Citizens Rulebook. You just, every time you order something from InfoWars, or you can order a large packet, if you're in the military or police department. And what I did was I passed these out to the guys in my squad. And I said, guys, we swore an oath to God to protect the Constitution and the people of the United States from enemies, foreign and domestic. We need to learn exactly what is in there. I ask them questions daily. I have them interested in what was going on, in the late 1700s with our country and what led to that revolution and why these documents are so important to us.
Now, let's talk about, let's go back to what you witnessed as a police officer during Katrina, then let's fast forward to the Fort Hood shooter.
Okay, well, I was a police officer down on the Gulf Coast. I'm going to leave the city out of it. But I was a police officer down there in the year of 2006, graduated the police academy with honors, started, and within the first week, I was training down there with a sergeant. And we did a traffic stop on somebody who was in a vehicle in their driveway. It wasn't even, the keys weren't even in the ignition. And basically what we did is an illegal search and seizure. And at that point, I couldn't believe what I'd gotten myself into because it was like the movie Training Day, Alex. Have you seen that?
Yes, with Denzel Washington and Keanu Reeves. With Denzel Washington and what's the other guy's name? I forget. The point is.
Yeah. It wasn't that graphic, obviously, but these gentlemen did have drugs on them. But the way we went about getting them is we compromised our integrity. So how are we supposed to be upright peace officers in the community if we break the laws that we're sworn to protect to get that illegal drugs or whatever it has to be,
Well, what about the news footage of police tying chains to doors of pawn shops and jewelry shops, dragging off safes, police in Walmart stealing the goodies, and then it came out the police were ordered to shoot people who were trying to walk out of the Katrina zone in New Orleans?
Well, thank God, Alex, I never witnessed any of that because that would have done it for me. But what I did witness is there was a lot of relief coming to the coast from all the good people around the country, and some of the first vehicles there to help with the disaster were Christian relief trucks. So that'll tell you a lot about people who love God and love Jesus, and they were there to help. But getting back to the corruption, the police officers kept everything at the top, the generators, the goods supplies. It never trickled down to the citizens. And, I was a new police officer at that time, so and I just sat there and watched it. It was known fact in the town where I was a police officer that the assistant chief had burned his car for insurance purposes, gotten away with it, only to get caught. He lost his job for a year and came back and got it just right off the bat again. Assistant police chief again.
Now, you talk about a culture of corruption in the Gulf. You say you haven't seen that in Central Texas.
No, I haven't, Alex. And I have a lot of friends that are police officers here in Central Texas. and they're all upright family men, and they're all the kind of people that I would be happy to serve next to.
Let's talk about the Fort Hood shooting, because it came out in the news that day and the day after that there was a terror attack, shooting drill, and that a lot of people, when he was reportedly running around shooting men and women in the military, that people thought it was part of the drill. And I know that they have these biometric face scanning thumbprint systems that I witnessed in '99 during Operation Urban Warrior on the East Coast in Oakland. They were drilling to put American citizens through FEMA camps and to thumbprint them and face scan them. I have the video. The Marines allowed us to tape of this. We know that similar system was used in Fallujah and other areas, but that the day before, they made all the troops at Fort Hood go and be put through the system that they'd been trained to put combatants through, and that a lot of people in your unit and others thought it was very suspicious.
Well, obviously they couldn't force all the troops through, Alex. It was a directive put out 3-corps wide that everyone would receive the Phantom Warrior Pass. And with that pass, you can enter the gate with your ID card, just scanned by a barcode scanner at the gate. And there still is an armed guard there to check your vehicle just to make sure so there's no security issues. But I did go up there the day before on November the 4th, and when everybody said they were going to just take another picture and give you another ID card, and I asked the woman behind the counter, I said, "Is this biographic, or biometric technology?" And she said, "Yes, BAT software." And I said, "Well, what is this for?" And she says, "Well, I don't know. It just came across that everybody, has to do it." So I don't know exactly what it's for. I don't necessarily like it, just because it just, that much more. The grid gets smaller, Alex, and that's never a good thing.
Joseph, you were saying that the men and women in your unit, though, were particularly concerned, and that you talked to other people that were really spooked by what happened and thought it was suspicious that a drill was being run, and we talked about that off air.
Yeah, Alex, and once again, the Department of Defense policies on this, I shouldn't probably comment too much on that, but what I will talk about is the fact that I serve with a lot of brave men and women, and they have really just, in the past couple of years, along with myself, kind of just woken up to the fact that America isn't what it used to be, and we need to, take serious our oaths, like Oath Keepers. I think they're doing a great service. I think if you just, take some creed in your oath to God that you swore to protect the Constitution, and if you study the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and you hold dear to your heart, and understand you made a covenant with the Lord to protect that, I think that's very important.
Separately, we had a caller from Fort Hood who you told me you actually knew, and he called in and said, look, I was in Iraq, and there was the head of the Austin SWAT team and the head of intelligence were there learning how to set up cordons and martial law and basically door-to-door gun confiscation in Austin. And people didn't believe the call, but I search engined it and found the Fort Hood newspaper admitting it, admitting that they were trained in Iraq and that city officials were out there being trained. And then you said that you talked to folks that were aware of that on the base.
Right. One of my friends whom I work with, he knew him personally, and he had worked with him, so he knew all about it. Once again, I didn't know too much about it. I just had secondhand information, so. But it does seem a little bit odd, Alice. It seems a little bit odd, and we just got to keep our eyes and ears open, and we have to be good patriots.
But bottom line, I mean, it's admitted that Austin police are being sent to Iraq to learn how to set up here what they've done there.
Oh, absolutely. That was the front page of the Fort Hood newspaper. If somebody's going to call you a conspiracy theorist for claiming that, then obviously they're just they're willfully stupid.
All right, Joseph, stay there. Final segment. Let's talk about what they're doing over at Fort Hood Stadium. Very bizarre. We went out and checked it out, and what you told us was true. Barbed wire facing in. It's going up right now.